Gunnersville for a couple days. Had a good time down there, but now we're coming up here kind of cold turkey. No practice. We'll see how it goes. They should be up super shallow. They should be spawning. New wave coming up. We got a full moon in a few days. We're gonna head up lake and start, catch them on some moving baits hopefully, and then see where we go from there. But it's gonna be just treat it like a practice day is the best we can do. All right, guys, let's see how it goes. So one key piece that you'll notice about each one of these little points here is that the wind is kind of blowing across them and wrapping around. We're not into the nose or the teeth of that wind on these points. These are points that I would kind of consider downwind as the backside here, and that wind is pushing around, almost creating somewhat of a little eddy here in these sections, but as it blows across, it's pushing that bait up onto these points, and those fish are moving up onto these points and feeding on that bait. We're throwing spinner baits right here. Snyder's throwing a popper. He had one that kind of blew up around it but wouldn't take it, but the spinner bait was the ticket for us, a 3/8 ounce with double willows, and you'd have bait following your bait fish, following your bait back to the boat. So this gave us a great start to the morning. Unfortunately, we just didn't make the right decisions to kind of capitalize and adjust to an afternoon bite that could help us upgrade. But most definitely great start to the day here. Spinnerbait action. I love throwing a spinnerbait around, but focusing in on these wind-blown points in about 5 foot of water was key.
Holy cow, dude. You always do that. Smell touching. Bam, baby. Okay. Put this one on the other side. Yeah, maybe start moving them over. Barely. Hey, we're getting them by the millimeters.
Barely don't matter, man. Counts.
Was he on that stick?
He was kind of out there nothing.
Doing nothing, roaming. my God. We got moving. Weighs 5 pounds, but hey. I thought I was hung on a rock. I was like, am I hung?
Oh gosh. No. All right, guys. Hey, we're here to break down now what went on Watts Bar. I've already been talking a bit about it a little bit as the video played through, but now that I've got some hindsight and thinking about how things went down, we left Gunnersville. We were down there Thursday and Friday with the club and went up to Watts Bar and met Snyder there on Saturday. So there was no practice going into this, but we had been on the water just a couple lakes down to the south. So we kind of had an idea of what was going on. We knew that these fish would be in kind of all three phases of the spawn, some pre-spawn and post-spawn. So while we were thinking about where we would start, it's always my favorite to my go-to is start there in the middle part of the lake. It seems like on most lakes that middle section's the most consistent. We had an area where we had caught some fish during a shad spawn last year during the Morristown Marine on Watts Bar. So we decided to go and start in those same areas. And when we pulled in there, we were able to get a really quick bite on a point in about 5 foot of water. We started to notice that the shad were following our baits back. Now, we didn't see any shad spawn action, but they were behaving like they wanted to spawn. And Snyder caught that first one on a spinnerbait. Now, all of our keepers that we weighed in came on a spinnerbait. And again, just chartreuse and white, one gold blade there, the main one, the bigger blade, both of those being willow. I'm just running either a tab tail or a Fat Albert grub by Zoom in white to match that, but it's a 3/8 spinnerbait that was in chartreuse and white. When I'm not around a lot of cover, I do like a treble hook, or not a treble hook, sorry, a follower, a trailer hook. And I like these by Yamakatsu because they already come with that heat shrink around them and makes it really easy to add a trailer hook to that bait very quickly. And a lot of times when you're dealing with a shad spawn situation or you're more open water, that trailer hook can help you out. And that's just the 1/0 size on that one there. So a spinner bait, we focused in on these little points that had rock and some river rock and some riprap, where those shad were kind of pushed up on there. And again, we didn't see any shad spawn action, but they were behaving like that. They were following our bait back. And early morning, you saw that it was raining the most part of that morning. We had a heavy downpour as we were blasting off, getting to our first spot. And we caught those fish fairly quickly. By, say, 10 o'clock or so, we had our limit. And then that's when the mistake came. Bluebird skies, that pressure pushed all those clouds out, the rain got out of there, and instead of making a shift, really, we stayed in that same area, kind of hoping that that bait would push back up, that those points would fire back up, and that was our mistake. We really should have changed locations in the lake. I wish we would have gone down the lake and looked for some more pre-spawn to spawn fish down that way, because again, the lakes typically in our area, the upper end's going to go first. It's going to spawn first. It's going to progress more quickly. It's more shallow. That area is going to warm up, and those fish are just going to progress through those stages a little bit quicker. The mid-lake's next, and then down at the bottom. And so I really wish we would have made that adjustment to go give that a chance. And hindsight is, knowing that we weren't going to get another keeper bite after 10:30, we should have just done that and been happy with it. But overall, we came in with a little over 9.5 pounds, maybe close between 9.5 and 10 pounds. We finished up in 63rd, I believe it was, and it was a tougher day than we thought it had been, or for most people, because even with that 63rd, we were able to move up to 7th place in the points. So we got one more event to go. We're heading into Holston. We're excited about that. When it's closer to home, we can jump on the water a few days after school here and there. Don't know what's going to be going on. A little bit, it should be late spawn, post spawn for most of the smallmouth. Big wave just came up. Maybe a little bit of shad spawn with some of the warm weather we've got coming in. But it'll be interesting to see how that one plays out. But again, guys, pulled in there on those main lake points, 5 to 10 foot of water, a lot of rock, rip-rap around those, shad pushed up around them, caught them all on a spinnerbait, guys. On to the next one. We'll talk to you from South Holston.